Welcome to the Gunning Truth Tuesday show, episode 5 with Roni. And I think it's time to seriously discuss Arsenal's final hopes of winning the league for the first time in nearly 2 decades. It's been quite a tumultuous time for Arsenal over the last 3 games with 3 consecutive draws. Each one, you can write a book about each game. And disappointment, sorrow, sadness, you want to rip your shirt apart. But at the end of the day, if we expect Arsenal Football Club to remain calm, we as fans needs to do so as well. And that is the most important thing. We play Manchester City tomorrow, a team that we haven't beaten since 2015. We had a draw, I think, the year after we beat them. And then it's just been hammering since then. We haven't scored a goal against them at the Etihad this decade. 2019 was our last goal. It might have been a screamer from Lacazette. I can't remember. But that was the last time we scored. 2019, that was the last time we scored a goal at the Etihad in all competitions. I think there's been 2 FA Cup losses, and then there has been league losses. And it's a little bit embarrassing, but unfortunately, the I almost said Saudi money, whichever money, Dubai money that they get or that they've gotten, or Qatari money, I don't know. I think it might be a Qatari state, or I don't know. I don't care, to be honest. But the reality is that there's so many things against us, and then there's another thing. So I work in a gym, and people are coming up to me that I don't know from a bar of soap. Man United fans. I don't get it. They're supposed to want us. I know there's history between Arsenal and Manchester United, but 2 things. First of all, Manchester City is their noisy neighbors, even though I like to joke that Manchester United are not from Manchester, they're from Salford. But obviously, Salford is part of Manchester. So Manchester City is like technically the only team in Manchester. But they're supposed to want Arsenal, despite the history, I get it. Because Manchester City are their closest neighbors. However, it just seems like they can't wait for us to bottle it, which is weird. And then also you have the thing of Manchester City could actually, in a better way, get the treble over, the treble this season, the same treble that Man United got in 1999. They cheated mostly for that treble. But we'll give it to them. We'll give it to them. We can also say that there was moments in our special thing is obviously the gold trophy, and obviously there were certain games that looked a bit dodgy, but obviously Arsenal deserved it, and we didn't cheat as much as United did in '99. But that's still a team that goes down in history, and there is a likelihood that if Arsenal, it's all up to Arsenal. It's not up to Real Madrid or AC Milan or Inter Milan. It's up to Arsenal to stop the treble. There's no one else. Arsenal Football Club must stop the treble. Man United's not going to do it in the FA Cup final. I am predicting Real Madrid to not be able to do it, and I'm tipping AC Milan to go through. They won't do it either against Manchester City. Arsenal Football Club, the only club that can possibly do it. That's my intro over. I'm not going to moan too much. The Gunning Truth Tuesday show with Roni. Let's have a look what's happening in the show today. Right, so I'm obviously first going to discuss Arsenal news. There is a little bit of tidbits in relation to injury news, as well as the Saliba situation. And then I've got some news as well that's not quite on the slides. I'm going to review the Southampton game. And as I'm looking at it now, I'm still shocked to see that scoreline. The team that is currently at the bottom now, okay, Southampton's got a bit of history against us. For some reason, they do well back in the day and now in the recent past. They've obviously got 2 former Arsenal players, one that couldn't play over the week last weekend or last Friday night, and then Wally Walcott, the player that I call Wally, but I still have an affection to a Wally Walcott. Didn't dislike him as a player. A lot of people used to criticize him for his football brain or whatever. And like I said in my Monday reaction video, he showed that he's got a football brain. at times. There were times where he could have done a bit more, but maybe the Arsenal came out in him. But he did end up scoring again. I think it's the second. I don't know if it's the second consecutive time or if it's the second time in three that he has scored at the Emirates for Southampton against Arsenal. I can't quite remember, but I know he scored previously for Southampton against us. But I will get to that game shortly. And then the Arsenal woman, I honestly am extremely proud. I had to make a added bit to my reaction video. Honestly, the amount of injuries that these ladies have, and they were still able against a very good Wolfsburg team that at times outplayed them from well, I won't say tactical because Arsenal were fantastic from a tactical standpoint. However, I thought that the way they dribbled sometimes through us and the way they were easily able to get their passing game going. So that tells me that the technical level is slightly higher from Wolfsburg. But despite all that, despite the injuries, Arsenal fought and fought. You can also say from a technical level, that's part of the reason why Arsenal conceded the two early goals. But I will discuss that shortly as well. And then I'm going to go into a little bit into a deep dive into the Manchester City game, how I feel that we can counter them, especially with the way they're currently playing. Remember, people complained, probably not anybody Manchester, maybe the Manchester City fans, of which there aren't many. Uh, but pundits and people that likes to overanalyze teams complained, how could they get rid of Cancelo and change their formation where Stones is playing in weird positions, either the third of a back three in certain instances, and then suddenly he's popping up as a right back when they attack. So yeah, there's a lot of things that goes on behind the scenes, and Pep is just showing why he's that class manager. Arteta did work under Pep, funny enough, through all the tough battles with Liverpool, and obviously for when Pep made all these rash decisions when they got knocked out of certain Champions League games, the Tottenham game. Who would have thought, eh? Tottenham knocked them out in the Champions League, and then some of the back when Arteta was still there, some of the Champions League quarterfinals and semi-finals that they ended up messing up. I think the Liverpool game as well. Yeah, I think they were in the Liverpool. Can't remember if that was the quarterfinal, but I know it was not the season that Liverpool won the Champions League. I think it might have been the first one where Liverpool played Real Madrid. So there was a lot of tactical little annoyances that was quite weird, out of the norm from Pep in those games, and that cost them. So all those type of things, it makes a difference at the end of the day. Righto. Let's get in. Well, let me first get into the news. I'm a bit ahead here. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, so Arteta today in his press conference says that Xhaka is still a doubt. Now, Xhaka is the type of player, if it is illness, I'm assuming he will be ready by tomorrow night. So even if I can't see if it's illness related, but I don't know if it's COVID also, that's also another issue. But if it is injury related, illness related, I think he will start tomorrow night. But if it's anything other than that, then I trust Arteta's Xhaka is a doubt. But I think he'll play tomorrow. Now I've got him in my starting lineup. But then the Saliba situation. At the moment, we don't have him, and we're preparing this game without him. So probably the next game is going to come too soon as well. So Chelsea on, that's playing a week from today. So he won't even be ready for that game. There's no improvement, unfortunately, on him. So we're still waiting. We're still hopeful, but another week has gone by and he hasn't been able to play. And then somebody that I've been following for years on Twitter, AFC Amden, he basically says it's been apparent from the start that Saliba was in a bit of trouble, but the player or club wanted to give it every shot for him to be available for the run-in. So that's understandable. I don't know what more Arsenal could have done this season. I know we micro analyzing everything, but we're fighting against computers here, people, and we tend to lose that fact. A lot of people are moaning and groaning, grown as men, are moaning and groaning daily with regards to the fact that Arsenal are not able to do it. I'm in that place. I'm an intrinsic individual, so I'm obviously a winner. even from my rugby days, I got so many red cards because of the fact that I was a winner. And I understand it from a sporting perspective. I understand it from a competitive perspective, but you have to look at the fact that who you up against. Minus the fact that City have got players that are between 50 and 100 million in terms of value in each position, and minus the fact that they have apparently cheated or whatever, cheated the books, cheated the system to be able to get these players on their books over the years. They have sold well, to be fair. So that's why I feel that they are probably not in the wrong in terms of balancing their books. But yeah, it's disappointing because in terms of how opposition fans and our own fans itself are not able to see that this is an extremely young team. We actually drew with the youngest team in the league. I think it's because of Jorginho and Xhaka. That's the only reason why we are not the youngest squad in the league. And yeah, we haven't been anywhere near the top of the echelons of Premier League football or even European football for that matter. I mean, we're still struggling with Europa League teams. There's various reasons for that, but from a Champions League standpoint, I can't see us going far unless we obviously buy big players in the summer, because I still feel we're very naive when it comes to European football. We've now gotten the gist of it from the Premier League standpoint. We've obviously now messed up in the last 3 weeks, but that's because of the pressure of Manchester City. That's why I feel that just seemingly we are over emotional when we play football, and just look at the way we played on Friday. But I'll get to that shortly. At the top of this little screenshot, I've just got the FA Youth Cup. Unfortunately, I've had load shedding, and I must now somehow go and figure out, rather than spoiling it, to see if I can somehow on YouTube hopefully get a stream of the game where I can obviously go back, or the FA player if they have it on their site, without seeing the score, because I was really excited for this game. But slap bang at the time of kickoff, and even SuperSport showed the game live. So by the time this comes out, obviously people would know the result and all that. But as I'm sitting here recording just after 10 on Tuesday, whatever the date is today, but it's Tuesday, I still don't know what happened in the Arsenal under 18 West Ham game. I'm assuming West Ham would end up winning because they've got a very strong under 18 team. But I was just going to promote that, and then I forgot that, okay, the game is done by the time I'm recording this. So unfortunately, I haven't seen it yet, and I might do a Monday reaction video or a weekday reaction video if we win. Right, it's time for the Arsenal Southampton game. Finally, I can put that nice little banner up there. So here we go, people. So it's a 3-3. I almost said demolition, even though we weren't demolished, but a very disappointing game. And my concern is always body language. I understand these guys want to be winners. Teta is coming from a winning background with his previous assistant coaching role at Manchester City. So they obviously won everything there. And I understand that he's got that arrogance, that winning arrogance at that time. But obviously, everything started from scratch at Arsenal. So you can't have winning arrogance if you've not done nothing much. But he has won a FA Cup in his first full season, or his first season. I can't remember if it was a full season. So, and yeah, it's COVID and all those type of things. So, but it's concerning to see the body language at times. Now, in this game, you can analyze it in two ways. First of all, Arsenal's defending was absolutely shocking, and it's been now for a while now. And I know it's easy to scapegoat Mr. Holding over there. But just from a tactical standpoint, let's just have a look at the way uh, Southampton played. First of all, let's use Southampton here. First of all, in terms of what they could and couldn't do. First of all, both their fullbacks got yellow cards in this game. It was very disappointing that we couldn't just push a little bit more on that side. It's where we got most of our good parts of the football game with Martinelli and Saka. But I thought Bella Kotchap and Bednarek, they were always there to, how can I say, to have, that when you're not playing that well, there's teams that, and the tempo of your passing allows the opposition when they've got banks of five. So they basically had a 5-4. And then either Walcott or Alcaraz was a little bit more higher up the pitch, or Alcaraz and Armstrong rotated on the left side of of the two halves of the field, where Walcott and El Yunusi was on the right. Lavia was everywhere. I can see why Arsenal, I don't know if we're really interested in him, but I can see why he's the type of player that we would be after. And Ward Prowse also everywhere with regards to from a defensive standpoint. Now, Arsenal's football at times were too slow. Okay, it looked like on the field when you watch the replay or highlights, you'll see Arsenal are 130 miles per hour. However, the passing wasn't the same as the endeavour. So that allowed Southampton, and who were playing in banks of 5-4-1, or they were 4-4-1-1 type of a thing, where Walcott was a little bit all over the place on the right side. So, yeah, I felt we didn't handle the change of their tactics that well. I think after 2-1, they changed it up again. And then at halftime, they took off Alcaraz, who was absolutely everywhere. I didn't even hear of this guy before. He scored, assisted, and he had the ball off the line. So it could have been 2-2 by halftime. And even though it was 2-0, and I could see the nerves on the face and the unnecessary huddles, so there's obviously people that's on both lines of the fence with regards to the huddles that Arsenal do. Obviously, there is the good things of it, but it's sometimes a little bit too early to go and do huddles. But yeah, and then obviously Walcott scored as well. Alcaraz scored, Alcaraz assisted, and 2-0 down for Arsenal. And, just everything was just taken. Okay, so you could hear that the Arsenal fans were definitely still behind the team. And that was a really, really promising thing. But second half, it was a little bit less so when that third goal went in. And then from the Arsenal standpoint, if you just have a look at the Arsenal guys up there, first of all, Ramsdale, error. Now, you look at it two ways with regards to, let's look at the negative side of things, the mindset, the stress of the whole situation. I mean, just the mere fact that Man City is chasing us down and we have dropped in the last two games points, the stress obviously has a factor into the way we played out from the back. Because remember, we've been playing out from the back all season, and just now and then there's always a little bit of an issue. And obviously, the way Thomas Partey receives the ball can sometimes be a problem, and the way our two centre backs. Now, it's completely different with holding there. That is the problem. So, from the back five, or back five plus your holding midfielder, everyone's there except Saliba. So tactically, that does make a huge difference. The positioning of White, and then obviously, if it is that Saliba's there, then Gabriel pushes way to the left while Zinchenko's into midfield, and Xhaka will push high up to where the current space on the screen, as you can see, between Partey and to Martinelli, that space there, that is where Xhaka normally goes into. And Zinchenko is where Vieira, as it says on the screen now, is there, and Gabriel is where Zinchenko is. Holding, or Saliba in this case, is where, well, a little bit more to the left from that image over there, and then Ben White is all over, pushing up towards Odegaard and Saka. So those are spaces that Arsenal tend to have the players when you look at heat maps and those type of things. However, you will see I don't know if you can look at the heat map or if you can just see at a picture of the whole field, and people that obviously is at the stadium, they see this holding because of the fact that he cannot play a high line. So Arsenal can't have that high press. And when I say high press, you've got the situation of our forwards. So our forwards likes to press high up the pitch as well. So now everything is a little bit more towards the opposition side. But that is now not the case because of holding. So it's not criticizing holding. That is just he hasn't got the pace, and he's not that type of defender, ball playing defender that likes to push up and that can give accurate high balls to Saka. Not even talking about diagonal balls that Saliba does. So that is the concern. So the concern is the high line. So Gabriel has to push back. And if Zinchenko, so if Gabriel is coming more towards the center, which he mustn't be doing because of Zinchenko pushing up, that is where Wally Walcott found loads of space. Alcaraz passed over to him. El Yunusi passed over to him. So from a tactical standpoint, it is a problem that holding is there. I don't know if it can be coached better. You can't coach pace, and you can't coach at this stage of Holding's life accurate passing. He looks a little bit lethargic on the ball. That is just a type of player that is old school, defender that likes to get tight on the players. Whereas Saliba and Gabriel, not really. They're more, those modern ball playing defenders. So all in all, in this team, with Holding there and Vieira, who had a very poor game. He was so easily barged off the ball, and I don't want to go into that rhetoric of Vieira is lightweight. He is lightweight, but it was really prevalent in this game. They were, sorry about that, they were really seriously on him in this game, and I was really hoping that things would improve. But yeah, his passing was timid at times, and the support that he needs to give Martinelli, it just didn't work out. So Odegaard also didn't have a good game. So it's absolutely vital that Xhaka and Saliba is there, especially in a big game like Man City coming up. Unfortunately, both of them are doubts. Well, Saliba's out, and I still think that Xhaka will make it. And then I'll also obviously discuss one or two items that's been sent in to me from buddies of mine with regards to what they feel from a formation, a change in formation standpoint. And then obviously I'll give my formation as well. So those are just little things that happened in this game. Let me take away this. I don't need to take it away. Let's make it bigger. Yeah. Right. So obviously, once again, Arsenal, humongous amount of ball possession, but from 26% ball possession, 26% ball possession, 8 shots and 6 on target. 6 on target. My word. Loads of yellow cards as expected for Southampton, only one for Arsenal. Arsenal generally has about 10%, 10 fouls per 10 fouls per game. That's their normal average. And then, yeah, generally the opposition fouls us more. 2 offsides. So 2 offsides, 2 corner kicks, 8 shots on goal, and 6 on target from only 26% ball. So that tells you a little bit everything that you need to know when it comes to Arsenal's defending at times, which was shocking, to be honest. I just want to take the banner away so that I can just review the goals. So obviously, once again, Arsenal this season should have conceded 4 goals straight from kickoff. They've conceded 2, so they're not learning their lessons. So Alcaraz scoring in the first minute, and it's obviously playing out from the back early on. What happened to Ramsdale going long early? Normally early on, he goes long. That didn't happen this time, and a very lethargic pass, and then boom, goal. They took their goals well, to be fair, and then Theo Wally Walcott scoring in the 14th minute, so 2-0 down. The crowd still trying to raise the club, and not too long after, I think there was a little bit of a break where, once again, a tactical break where Arteta got to speak to the players, or the huddle. I think it was after the huddle, and Arsenal were able to score. Martinelli scored, and I think it was a Saka assist. So 2-1, and Arsenal had a bit of half chances. I actually felt that we weren't that great. Minute 21 till 45. I didn't think we were that great. We did have obviously Alcaraz cleared one of our attempts on goal off the line, but we went into one at halftime, and then obviously Arsenal's 45 till 60 minutes. So Arsenal, I don't know if it's still the case, but we are supposedly the best team between minute 45 and 60. And yeah, there's been no goals in the last 3 games between minute 45 and 60. For Arsenal, normally very good after the break. So if you think about the last 3 games where we dropped points, so 2-0 up after the 20 minutes in both games, and then obviously conceded not a penalty in the Liverpool game, but obviously conceded loads of chances in that end of the first half. So 2-1 to Arsenal in both the West Ham and Liverpool games at halftime. And then obviously, yeah, the second half didn't go that much better. Missed penalty by Arsenal, missed penalty by Liverpool in the second half. But then now Arsenal conceded the well, it looked like the killer third goal. And obviously, in terms of us winning the game, a terrible defending from Thomas Partey again from a corner, not the first time this season. And yeah, well, terrible defending to give away the corner. So a corner that shouldn't have been, and then Arsenal are absolutely nowhere. Zinchenko, poor defending, poor marking, and there's a bit of a problem with his defending of late, despite the fact that he's fantastic on the ball at times. So it's been a very inconsistent on the ball, well, not defensive, on the ball performance from Zinchenko in the last three games, and that's part of the problem because all the good things came from that side when we were winning the games, minus the fact that we do well on the right side when we have Saliba, White, Saka. But 3-1 down to Arsenal, and it just looked like it was the end. In terms of everything from a mindset perspective, if I can call it that, in terms of yeah, just the way that we were approaching the game. So obviously, helter-skelter type football again, no control, playing with emotion, and that word has come up quite a lot. There was a Thierry Henry interview where he spoke about the fact that Arsenal are very emotional. And that is a bit of a concern because eventually it's going to run out, and then you need to, you need to have a solid base, and that control that Arsenal had. I'm trying to think, have we had control? Even the 4-1 wins, there wasn't really control. The Everton, what was that? The 4-0 win. The Everton game, there also wasn't that much control. The Fulham game, that's when we really had control. Yes, there's still one or two chances. It's the Premier League, so you're still going to concede chances. But in terms of controlling the football game, I think that Fulham game was probably the last one that I can think of. I know we won comfortably against Everton and Crystal Palace and Leeds at home. And then obviously after the international break, after the international break was Leeds, and then obviously the tough two away games where we messed up, and now again in this one. So I'm going to leave it there. I don't think there's anything else. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there with the Southampton game because it's really just bringing up bad memories. But it's not the end of the world at the end of the day. Arsenal still have it in their hands, as I will discuss heading into that Manchester City game. But very disappointing to say the least. Arsenal 3, Southampton 3. We have to move on. Righto. So I did say that I was extremely proud of the Arsenal women's team. I've mentioned it before in previous podcasts, previous shows, that I actually, first of all, enjoy covering the Arsenal women because it's just a little bit something different. It's still Arsenal, but it's something different. And obviously, a very successful women's football club. Most Premier League titles, most League Cups, most FA Cups, and the only Arsenal women's team to win the Women's Champions League back in the day when it wasn't so big as it's now. Big as in lots of commercial, and obviously the fact that it's a UEFA Champions League, Women's Champions League, like proper. So Arsenal obviously going into this game with loads of injuries, both attacking, well, both forwards have been out for quite some time now already this season, and it's obviously led to a goal, not a goal drought, but struggling to finish off all the chances that they are still creating. So now we've got our two top forwards out, Beth Mead, Vivian Miedema. They've scored 70% of all Arsenal's goals. We just had then both our captain and vice captain also out for the rest of the season. So four of our best players are out for the entire season. And there were three other injuries and a young striker that is not, that's, well, we call it cup tied or weren't registered because of the amount of changes to the squad that Arsenal had to make due to the injuries. We had to sign five different players, and a sixth player came in as well. That was obviously couldn't be registered as well. So it's a very thin squad and a lot of new signings in January. So the team just hasn't been able to gel. However, with all of those issues, they were still able to beat Chelsea in the Women's League Cup and have some really good results in the Women's Champions League, despite all the injuries. And here again, Women's Champions League semi-final away from home, two crucial errors in the first 20 minutes, and Arsenal were 2-0 down. And then Arsenal came back, first of all, with a header just before halftime. That was huge because that's obviously going to help the team talk at halftime. And then Arsenal obviously created a couple of other chances, or conceded a couple of chances as well. However, Arsenal were then able to score through Blackstenius early in the second half. And there we go. So Arsenal's team, Zinsberger, Austrian goalkeeper, Ruben Moy. So Arsenal played three at the back for this game. just due to the fact that there were midfield injuries, attacking injuries. They actually are relatively okay when it comes to defensive injuries. But I thought this was actually quite smart from our head coach on the left there, Jonas Ideval. He is a Swedish coach, excellent tactician. It's just that he's been extremely unlucky over the last 2 seasons with injuries. But let me just go through the team again. Like I said, Zinsberger, Austrian keeper, former Bayern Munich. Wuben Moy, she is a English American lady. Uh, Studied in England, studied in America and played in the MSL there, or in the, I don't think she played in the WSL or MSL or whatever they call the American leagues there. I think it might be NWSL, something like that. And yeah, she played for American colleges. Jen Beattie was actually man of the match, our Scottish centre back. Raffaelli, the Brazilian captain, left centre back. And then, so that was our back three. And then we had obviously our right wing back, Maritz. She is Swiss. Is she Swiss? Yeah, Switzerland right back. But now she played right wing back in this game. She's a former Wolfsburg player. And then Leia Valte, I think she also played in Germany for one of the clubs, but I can't remember who. She is the Swiss captain. And then Frida Manum, a Norwegian. She's our number 10, our current top scorer. And then Steph Catley, excellent Australian left back. Watch out for her in the Women's World Cup starting in July. The World Cup starts on my birthday, 20 July. And then, so that was our left wing back. So we played midfield two. And then Pelova, who was written down as the right winger, but she actually played quite a bit more into midfield with McCabe joining Blackstenius. So it kind of was a 3-5-2 formation, if you think about it, with Pelova making sure that she tucks in as an extra midfielder. And then McCabe also pushing back when we are in defense, but pushing up when we are in attack. She was also excellent. So she's the Irish captain. And now I have to take over captaincy duties due to Club captain Little's injury, hamstring injury for the rest of the season, and Williamson, England's captain. The European champions captain is also out. So the European champions captain is out of the World Cup, as well as the English player of the tournament of the Euros that they won, Beth Mead. So many stories in one. It's very difficult to portray or bring across all these stories that the Arsenal woman has gone through, because we tend to focus, not me, but people that shows interest in my platform only shows interest in the men's team, where I try to give a little bit more info on the women as well as the academy side of things, where Arsenal are struggling in the leagues in the academies. But obviously tonight, hopefully, as I'm speaking here, Arsenal have lifted the under 18s cup, but I'm not holding my breath on that one. So there we go. So Arsenal were absolutely fantastic in that game. I thought Wolfsburg, a very strong team. You can even see, if you can look clearly on top of the W, that they have two. I don't know why Arsenal don't have a star, because we have won the Champions League before. So I don't know if it's got to do with the reformed Champions League. But Wolfsburg are two-time Champions League winners. I'm not entirely sure why Arsenal don't have a star, because we did win this competition, but it obviously was a watered-down version. Monday, the 1st of May, public holiday in South Africa and a public holiday in England. Arsenal will be playing at the Emirates. Over 50,000 tickets have been sold. They're pushing now up until Monday for that final 10,000 or so tickets to be sold, or under 10,000 tickets to go. So hopefully it's going to be an absolutely mammoth atmosphere. Cora 27, free of charge on the DAZN YouTube channel. So if you click on, or not click on, but type in DAZN on your YouTube search engine, then obviously the football channel will come on, and then you will see that they have the game 6:45. It's already ready to go. Well, I won't say go live, because it's still a couple of days before the 1st of May, but the game 6:45 this coming Monday, 1st of May, Arsenal versus Wolfsburg, Champions League second leg, Arsenal 2, Wolfsburg 2. And this is just a little bracket. I think I'm going to take this thing off. Our ears are hurting. So there we go. So that's the bracket. At the top of the left side of the bracket, Chelsea defeated Lyon, the reigning champions. Lyon beat Barcelona last season in the final in a surprise result. Barcelona went through over Roma. Wolfsburg went through, I think it might have been away goals or something like that, over Paris. And then Arsenal went through over Bayern. Bayern, a team that always gives us problems in the men's game, but we were able to go through. And then obviously the first leg, Barcelona beat Chelsea 1-0 at Stamford Bridge. I think that was on Saturday afternoon. They will be playing this coming Thursday in the second leg at the Camp Nou. And I'm pretty certain that Barcelona will go through. And then Arsenal will be playing Wolfsburg in the second leg. I think that might be 1-1, and then Arsenal to win it in extra time. Hopefully, they don't need to win it in extra time. And then I'm tipping Arsenal to play Barcelona in the final. I think it might have been 8 or 9-0 over the two legs, or 9-1. I do remember us scoring at the Bernabeu, at the Camp Nou, not the Bernabeu, last season when Arsenal played against Barcelona. Actually, it was at Barcelona's women have their own stadium. I think they played, or not their own stadium, the academy stadium. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough for Arsenal to win this Champions League, especially with the injuries. Arsenal would have had quite a chance if Leah Williamson, Kim Little, Beth Mead, Vivian Miedema, if they were fit, Arsenal would have had a real chance to win this Women's Champions League. And now for the main event. The nerves are already starting to kick in. Arsenal Football Club going to the Etihad, a place where they haven't scored a goal this decade. They haven't scored a goal since 2019. I think it might have been Lacazette. We haven't won since 2015. We drew in 2016. And if we draw this time around, we would be 5 points clear, still with 2 games over Man City. Obviously, you still need to win your games in hand. And Man City's 2 games in hand will be West Ham at home, and West Ham is really picking up form now. West Ham at home and Brighton away. Remember, Man City has to play all these games alongside their Champions League games. So they've got games in hand and Champions League games away and at home to Real Madrid. So maybe a draw is not going to be the worst result at the end of the day, but unfortunately, I am not as hopeful as some people are. But somewhere along the line, guys, Arsenal needs to get the job done at the Etihad. So the venue, Etihad, game will be 9 o'clock. I think it's 9 o'clock. Yeah, should be 9 o'clock South African time. 26 April 2023, Manchester, England. The only team in Manchester, they say. Very interesting stats, English Premier League team stats. So Arsenal's only scored 1 goal less than Man City. They are 2 games less than us. So that can obviously change quite considerably. And then obviously Arsenal have conceded in the last 3 games 7 goals. 7 goals conceded in the last 3 games. So league chasing team conceding all these goals, I don't know. Goal difference of 50 and 43. And then assists. Is that possible? So Arsenal have 4 more assists than Man City. So 77 goals, 60 assists. Interesting stat. Don't know if that's right. And then obviously last 5 games, obviously Arsenal drawing their last 3. Man City obviously won their last 5. They obviously putting in the Champions League game into the run of last 5 games. So the draw at Bayern's Allianz Arena. Man City obviously beating Sheffield United. They were barely in, they weren't even in first gear in that game, to be honest. And then Man City did what Arsenal couldn't do at St. Mary's and thumped Southampton. Man City thumped Bayern. Man City thumped Leicester in the first half, and then obviously they played very relaxed in the second half, and Leicester had a couple of opportunities. And then obviously we all know Arsenal's 4-1 wins. I mentioned earlier that there were times in the game where we didn't control the game as well. And those bad signs ended up being prevalent in the 3 draws after that. So, haven't lost since Man City's league game at the Emirates Stadium. What is it? 7 wins, 3 draws, or is it 6 wins, 3 draws? I think it might be 6 wins, 3 draws since that game. And I think it's 7 wins, man. I really should have checked up on that. But whichever way you look at it, 10 games undefeated since that game. So I think it's 7 wins, 3 draws, 10 games undefeated since losing to City. And I really hope that it's not going to be that we are now due for a loss but rather that we are due for an excellent defensive performance and then a win. So there we go. How about a comfortable win at the Etihad? How about that? Gee whiz. So Man City's form at the top, 4 wins and 1 draw. But again, this site is looking at the Bayern game as well. So it's 5 out of their last 5 games they've won, and Arsenal have drawn 3 of their last 5 games. So that is a mammoth 6 points dropped from Arsenal. So it's equivalent to 2 losses out of that run of games. So Manchester City, most assists. I don't know why they don't put the goals here on this site. It's weird. But most assists, 15 assists for Kevin De Bruyne. Rodri playing in the 6th position has 6 assists. And Grealish has 6 assists as well. And all 3 of them will play. And look at that. Leandro Trossard has 7 assists. Absolutely remarkable. And he's only joined in January. So an assist every second game. Absolutely phenomenal. 11 assists for Bukayo Saka and 8 assists for Martin Odegaard. So the productivity has definitely increased from our forward line players. However, I still feel we are not quite killers yet. And unfortunately, last 5 games at the Etihad and the Emirates Stadium, no wins. Doesn't matter where the game is played. The game can be played on the moon, and Arsenal will not get the result against Man City. So that's a little bit disappointing. So only 2 comfortable wins though in those 5. Normally we get hammered by them, and you can't even really say it was lots of mistakes from Arsenal in the 15 February game earlier this year. But we showed good glimpses, especially in the first half. We gave them trouble in the second 20 minutes of that first game, post the mistake from Tomiyasu. And then we looked good. Trossard looked good on the 27th of Jan when we played them in the FA Cup. However, the unfortunate Aki goal. And then we played well at the Emirates for the 1-2 loss, where I thought we were very unfortunate. And funny enough, Gabriel got sent off for a foul against Jesus in that game. And then obviously the 5-0 loss at the beginning of the season for us. Man City 1-0. I can't quite remember that 1-0 loss to City. I can't remember who scored. Might have been Sterling. But yeah, clearly it's clear for all to see that we have a terrible record against them. So here we go. Let's go and have a look at the home side, Manchester City. So Ederson in goal. So I think this was the same lineup that played against Sheffield. I'm not sure if the same lineup played against Bayern in the game before that. But normally what they do is it morphs into a 4-3-3. The strange formation of these. Or it can even be 5. So basically what happens is John Stones covers the entire area where you see Rodri and Walker is behind them. So he covers that entire area. So it can morph into 4, or it can morph into only 2 of the centre backs. So whereby Laporte and Diaz are there, and Rodri make it a back 3, and then Stones pushes into midfield ahead of Rodri. So Bernardo Silva stays on the left, and then Stones pushes into midfield at times, and then Walker covers the entire area up and down. Mahrez is also up and down. Sometimes Foden plays there, and then Bernardo Silva covers left back because Laporte, similar to Gabriel Magalhaes, where he kind of covers a left back position. That's if there isn't a left back in that position, and obviously Ake will play there, and Ake plays a role so much better than Laporte. So you could have a situation if Ake is fit. He went off with a hamstring problem, so he will probably be touch and go for this game. But Ake is actually perfect for that role, and he was obviously got the better of Saka in the FA Cup game, and to a large extent in the league game as well. So hopefully it is Laporte that's there, because that's where that position is where Saka will go into. And then we've got Rodri. Obviously, he has never had a bad game against Arsenal. He's always brilliant against Arsenal. And then, yeah, like I said, Bernardo Silva, he tends to go a little bit more towards the left. So from that current position, he moves a little bit more towards the left, especially if Laporte and Diaz and Rodri is the back 3. This is now when they have the ball. So you will kind of, where Rodri he works out to be a quarterback, where he does the passing, and he's in a position right in front of where Diaz is. So it's 2 on that side. So we need Saka and Martinelli to have their best games, because that is where they have As you can see in the diagram, that is the spaces where Martinelli and Saka will be attacking. And then obviously Odegaard will probably be up against Rodri. So Rodri will try to watch Odegaard. And it was Rodri that put in the tackle for Odegaard in the international break that looked like Odegaard could have broken his leg. So they will be up against each other, and then obviously vice versa for Arsenal will be Thomas Partey, hopefully tracking De Bruyne. And then obviously up front, they obviously interchange. When I say interchange, not okay, interchange is the wrong word because Grealish stays on the left. So when they have the ball, he stays on the left. De Bruyne moves closest to Haaland, where he tries to find Haaland. Haaland pushes a little bit deeper sometimes to try and get the ball if it is that he doesn't stay closer to goal. And then Mahrez obviously on the right wing alongside Walker. So we need to be a little bit concerned with the Walker Mahrez area because that is where is it going to be Ben White? Zinchenko, yeah, Zinchenko, Martinelli side is where Walker and Mahrez will be. And obviously, with Zinchenko wanting to push into midfield and Xhaka pushing higher up, we're going to have to play double pivot today and triple pivot if you think about it. So, if it is that Gabriel is going to push towards the left in this diagram, and Holding, he needs to keep his line, and Thomas Partey needs to push a little bit back, and Xhaka needs to help as well. So Xhaka and Zinchenko will interchange, whereby Zinchenko is probably more mobile to be able to. But then again, you've got a problem where the likes of Walker and Mahrez with their pace will give Xhaka all sorts of problems when Xhaka is dropping in and Zinchenko is high up the field. So that's why you cannot lose the ball. That's basically what this is all about. Thomas Partey and Zinchenko. They are the ones that's been losing the ball recently. They cannot lose the ball in this game because Walker and Mahrez will cut them to shreds. And then obviously you're going to have a situation right slap bang in the middle of the Gabriel Holding positioning where Haaland will be. And he will try to get quick ball, especially when we have possibly missed the ball or missed with the ball or not passed to our player because of the high press of Man City. And then that is where Haaland will look to attack. Slap bang in the middle because what's happening is Gabriel is pushed towards the left and Holding is kind of all alone, which did take place, especially when Holding got his yellow card in the first half against Man City. If you look at it, that's exactly what happened. Holding and Gabriel were the two centre backs. Gabriel was Zinchenko was pushing up. Did Zinchenko play? Yeah, I think he did play. So Zinchenko pushed up to where Xhaka is. Gabriel was where Zinchenko is, and there was a large space for Haaland to attack Holding. And that is where Holding got his yellow card, despite doing well in the game. And poof, there we go. So there we go. I'm going to end it off there and I'm just going to quickly run through my key points. So once again, key points. So we've got Ramsdale in goal. He needs to be absolutely brilliant. He needs to make amazing saves. He needs to go long when he must and play out from he's going to have to play it from the back because if we are going to keep the ball, we're going to have to start from all the way at the back. And Haaland isn't that great with pressing. He's this huge bear-like figure that's quite pacey. So he will be a little bit of a problem. Ben White is important because he has to be, well, Ben White and Gabriel are both important because Gabriel pushes towards the left. However, he needs to help out with Holding. Thomas Partey needs to hold and help out Holding, especially if if Gabriel is pushing towards the left when we have the ball and Ben White is trying to support Bukayo Saka. So that's going to be vital. It's also going to be vital for Xhaka and Thomas Partey to have a double pivot for most of the game. It can't be just Xhaka pushing towards left back and Thomas Partey being the only man on the ball because Man City is going to overload and that's where they're going to catch us out. And then I've got the front four. Absolutely vital to have enough ball to these guys so that they can hurt Man City. Remember how I said earlier how they play with Stones. Stones pushes into midfield. Rodri pushes back towards Diaz and Laporte, and there's nothing on the wing. So we need to press high, get the ball off them when they're trying to use Bernardo Silva on the left and Walker on the right. Get the ball to Bukayo Saka and Martinelli, and you can even have Jesus pressing a little bit higher up the pitch or not as high up the pitch, close to the defenders. So Gabriel Jesus needs to be on kind of where Jesus, what's the guy's name? Stones is, and he kind of needs to do two jobs in one. Needs to press Stones, and he needs to press what? I'm confusing myself now. He needs to press Stones, and he needs to press Rodri, because Rodri tracks back to make it the back three with Diaz and Laporte. So he needs to track them. Odegaard needs to be wary of Rodri, not give him time to play that quarterback role. And then Thomas Partey needs to watch Mr. Kevin De Bruyne. And I think we will be okay if we look at it like that. Upcoming shows. I've rambled so long. Friday afternoon, I'll obviously do my podcast. So, very likely that will be my first content since the City game. And hopefully, it's a win. I'll be okay with a draw because I do feel Man City could slip up one of their games remaining. And they do have two other tough games. However, what do we do in our other games? On Sunday afternoon, I will be posting Off Your Game due to the public holidays. I am actually going to be recording it earlier. So there's a good chance I will be posting that Friday night already because I might be recording that on Thursday due to all the public holidays. I will have a Monday afternoon reaction video. That also might be sooner because Arsenal's only playing Tuesday. So I might have a reaction video Thursday already. And then on Wednesday afternoon, so tomorrow, I will post the show, The Gunning Truth. And final words before we have the Arsenal game against Manchester City. Yeah, it sounds confusing because just imagine how confused Arteta and Pep must be with trying to get the one over the other. Obviously, Manchester City are dominant. They've paid all this money for a reason. That's why they've been dominating the league. But Arsenal have gotten to this point. We can beat them if the players that I mentioned in my keynotes does their job. It's easier said than done. But if they can just go back to those times when they controlled games, they controlled the game against Liverpool, they controlled the game against West Ham in the first 30 minutes. Again, we need that for 70 minutes plus, possibly 90 minutes plus, in order for us to be successful on on Wednesday evening against Manchester City. I will leave it there. Up the Gunners. God bless the Arsenal. Let's hope we get to do this. Come on, you Gunners.